Sheviit, Perek Yud, Mishnah Tet, the last Mishnah in Masechet Sheviit. Okay, we're in the middle of talking about the idea of Shmitat Ksafim. And we learned that if a person, we learned from the Psukim, that if a person borrowed money, okay, that after the end of Shemitah, the money, the Mashval Kol Ba'al Mashay Yado, Asher Yire'eu, Shamot Kol Ba'al Mashay Yado, that he has to remove his hands, he has to not extract the money. So that Sheviit is Mishametet et Ksafim. Sheviit, it prevents the payment of loans. And we learned about Prusba, we learned about all these different laws relating to Shemitah Ksafim. In the last Mishnah we learned that if the lover wants to be Machzir Shechov, he says one time Mishametani, the Malva says, the lender says, no, Mishametani, I'm withholding, I'm not going to collect the loan. And the lover says, no, but I want to pay, then the Malva can take the money. The question is, should the Malva take the money or not? Should he receive it or should he not? So it says the Mishnah the following, fascinating. So if the lover wants to return his loan on Sheviit, Ruach Chachamim nochem mimenu. The language to say, the sages were impressed with that. They were happy with that. Why? Because, as we said, the point is that the loan still exists. But the Torah cancels the loan. The Torah says the loan is not enforceable. Shemitah prevents the loan from being paid. But if you said, listen, I borrowed money, I want to pay it back, Ruach Chachamim nochem mimenu. And the Chachamim say, this is a good thing. They're very happy about this. Okay, why? Because it's the Kahati says, the reason is it's a chasidut. It's a righteousness. A person doesn't want to benefit from the money of somebody else. Very relevant today, a person who goes into bankruptcy. Legally, it's not enforceable. So there's a person who went into bankruptcy. Now he emerged from bankruptcy. Now he's rich again. Okay, great. He did well. He emerged from Chapter 11. He built his business back up. Is there a part of him that should say, listen, I did really well. I should pay back the loan. Like, I shouldn't leave these people in the lurch, even though legally I don't have to pay them. So that this is this idea of Ruach Chachamim nochem mimenu. Yes, there are many times in life where a person is not legally required to do something, but there's an emotional, there's a spiritual concept, there's an ethical element, and even beyond the ethical element, right? It's a chasidut b'kibo. It's a personal development. It's a personal attribute, a personal attitude. We had it was a very difficult question when I made Aliyah. So I kept my house. My house was worth much, much less than it originally was, and I was going to lose money on it. Should I dump the house and leave the mortgage or not? And it was a very difficult question. I didn't want to. In the end, I ended up selling it. But it wasn't an easy question of abandoning a loan, because even though I could give it back to the bank, and the bank would be stuck with it. But what about the element of personal commitment? What about that element of your obligation? I personally wasn't in favor of keeping it, but it ended up we ended up selling the house. Whatever. Okay. Nonetheless, this idea of Ruach Chachamim nochem mimenu is a powerful element. It's a powerful issue that we should be aware of. Says the Mishnah, Alova mina ger. If I borrowed money from a convert, Shinid Gayu banav imo, and his children also converted. So this says lo yachzir lebanav. Lo yachzir lebanav means no chayav lachzir lebanav imei. The reason you don't have to. So a person converts, and his children convert with him. Okay, the halacha is that ger shinid gayer kekatan shenolad dami. Does it say here? Does the Bartanur have that language in here? Or it doesn't have it. We'll see it later on in many mishnayot, I'm sure. Okay, let me write it. It's a good thing to write. Okay, let's see. It's ger shinid gayer. A convert who converts, kekatan shenolad dami. He's considered like a katan shenolad. He is like a child that's born. He has no relationship from his previous life. It's like he's born into the world. He's a katan. So now his children convert with him. They also are born into the world. Halachically, technically, they're not related to one another. They were megayer. They're not really his children. So therefore, the Mishnah says that if I borrow money from the ger, if I borrow money from a regular Jew, and lo aleinu he dies, I owe the money to his children. I owe the money to his estate. But here I borrowed from a ger, and then he died. I'm not required to pay back his children. Okay, but lo yachzir lebanav. That's what the Bartanur says. Eno chayav lachzir lebanav. I don't have to. Not that I shouldn't. Ve'im ichzir, because it's clear if he did return the money, ruach chachamim nochayim mimenu. The chachamim are happy about that. This is a righteous way of acting, okay? Because even though they're technically not his children, nonetheless you owe the money to the estate. then there's a lot of debate about what, in which case, and when were they born, and how do they convert, etc., etc. But the idea is clear that Ruach Chachamim, the sages, were happy about people who returned money when they're obligated to. Similarly, Kol mitaltalin niknim b'mishicha. So this is a very interesting case. Mitaltalin is anything that's movable property: a car, a book, a stick of butter, an RV. And it doesn't matter how big it is, if it's movable and not connected to the ground, niknim b'mishicha. It's acquired b'mishicha, i.e., I lift it up, I pull it, I pick it up. What that means is it's not nidneh b'kesef. This is related to a Mishnah we're going to learn about Metzia, Perak Daled Mishnah Bet. Okay, the Mishnah in Perak Daled Mishnah Aleph said, okay, hazav koneh et hakesef, hakesef eina koneh et hazahav. Essentially, what we're saying here is if I pay money, money is not a kinyan in halachic terms. Metaltalin are nikneim b'mishicha. They're not nikneh with money, if what I pay. So therefore, let's say I found this very rare Harry Potter book, and there's no Harry Potter books around. I went to the bookseller and I paid him the money. But then somebody else came along and said, I'll give you $100 for that Harry Potter book. Sold, right? But he took the money. He says, listen, metaltalin is nicknamed b'mishicha. It's not nicknamed b'kesef. So therefore, legally, he's correct. Let's look at the Bartanura for a second. Okay? Legally, he's correct. 1 second. I'm sorry. Let's go back to the Mishnah here. Legally, he's correct. But the Mishnah in Baba Metzia says the following, exactly like that. Mashachem menu peirot v'lo natan ma'od. Peirot in this case are fruit, but let's say it's Harry Potter book. If I did Mashicha, I picked up the book, even though I didn't pay for it. Eino yachol azorbo. Then I can't change my mind and say, I don't want it anymore. That's a kinyan. Natan lo ma'od v'lo mashachem menu peirot. If I paid, but if I didn't nonetheless do Mashicha, if I already paid the guy the money, but I didn't do Mashicha, yachol azorbo. Both sides can back out. Aval, this is the part that's relevant to us. Amru, the Chachamim said. They said there's a concept, we all know in Shul, Mishaberach Avotenu Yaakov, God who blessed Yaakov, you varachet, you should give Job a Mishaberach, a bracha, that he gave money to the Shul, that he dedicated his time. That's a Mishaberach. The opposite of the Mishaberach is what's called a Mishapara. He who paid, i.e., exacted vengeance. Mishapara me'enshor hador hamabul umidor hapalaga. Someone, the God who paid back from the people of the flood. The generation of the flood, and the Dor HaPalaga, and the generation of the Palaga, the division after the time of Noah, where he threw people around, he split up humanity. He will pay back people who don't stand by their word. Right? It's just so happened I did Parshat Nedarim, the Parshat Sheviit today, that the Torah says a person, what you say, you should do. Keep your word. Keep your Nedarim and Nedavot. So this is the same idea. So this is what the point of our Mishnah is saying. But even if you didn't make Mashicha, the idea was if you said something, you should keep to your word. Okay? If you bought something and didn't do Mashicha, nonetheless, the person should still sell it to you. And in that spirit, if the person keeps his word, he makes a promise, then the spirit of the sages is nocha, is pleasant from him. This is what Chazal wanted us to be. They didn't want us to be people that are legalistic and looking for every little comma and every legal document and say, I can get out of it like this. Be a person of honesty. Keep your word. Do what you say. That's the person who's Ruach Chachamim Nocheh Himenu. This is the end of Masechet Sheviit. I hope you enjoyed studying with me as much as I enjoyed learning these Mishnayot together with you. As always, we dedicate the learning to the memory of my father, Alav Shalom, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. He was a man who dedicated much of his time to teaching other people, and I'm proud to be able to do the same. And if you have any comments or questions or notes, rspolter@gmail.com is a great way to reach me. Have a great day.